Did you just
And did
come
you have
from
the day
Hawaii?
off?
I did. Today's my first day off in like 4 days.
Okay, we'll get into that. Jeez
Yeah,
Louise.
I know. So great.
Well, yeah. Have you heard the podcast before? It wouldn't surprise me if you
No,
haven't.
no, I haven't.
No, it's
Perfect.
okay.
You and everyone else.
There's a lot of room for growth.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing that thing called, working. So
Working.
yeah.
Fine, fine.
What do you got on the
JT, should we get into this? Are we gonna record this at some point?
Already started. Already started.
All right, good. It's the level of professionalism that everyone who listens to our podcast comes to expect from us, to be honest. So it's nice to be consistent.
So, welcome to episode 7 of the Run Local podcast. This is, of course, the podcast where we invite guests across the spectrum of society, including elite athletes, entrepreneurs, local legends, and beyond. We like to utilize the sport of running to learn more about these individuals, their local community, what they're doing to change the world. Because frankly, we believe in the power of movement and doing the doable at a local level. So unlike other podcasts, you're going to get a myriad of hosts. Today, it is myself, JT Service, the founder of Run Local Events, and Run Local Apparel. But we also, per usual, are joined by Josh Muxen, the voice of Run Local Events. Josh,
Great to be
episode
here,
7.
JT. Yeah, no, it's fun.
Yep,
As always, highlight of my day, highlight of the week, for sure. Yeah, it's great to be back in another wonderful podcast.
that's great. And you know what, before we introduce our guests, I would be remiss if I didn't thank the people and the companies that help us make this possible. So there are our partners at Run Local Events, which means until we get other sponsors of this podcast, they're the sponsors of this podcast. It's almost like they just got grandfathered in. Frankly, I haven't even talked to them about sponsoring the podcast. I'm like, just keep sponsoring us. So I'm going to keep telling your name. And one of those people is Dylan Wooten. Thank you so much, Dylan, from Amazon, who's been supporting our events for 5 years. And big shout out to the team at Lab 126 in San Jose. They're the ones that bring you the Alexa, the crazy tablets, all the fire and stuff like that. So thank you to Lab 126 and the Amazon team. They always run our events. Thank you to Zoom Communications. I think they're doing okay right now, Josh. How do you think Zoom's doing?
Yeah, they're all right, I suppose. If you're into that whole, connection thing.
The connection thing, face meetings, how about all of education basically happening on Zoom right now? So thank you to Zoom Communications for keeping the kids occupied, parents sane for at least 1 hour a day, and also supporting our events such as the Shamrock Run. And last but not least, thank you to Sports Basement, sportsbasement.com, still open for business. You need some Sports Basement stuff? Get on the interwebs. Type it up, sportsbasement.com. You can get all your running needs, your outdoor stuff. And you know what? We are going to have a summer this year. We're going to have a summer. That means you're going to need stuff. Sportsbasement.com is your local place to get it. Josh, the housekeeping is underway, out of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
way.
I heard Sports Basement's taking Bitcoin now too. So if you need to unload some of those Bitcoins, Sports Basement's all about that. I'm pretty sure. That's what I
Sport
heard.
coin. They made up their own coin, just like
Their own currency.
yeah, some rapper did that. He has his own Bitcoin. I forget which one. It's pretty sweet.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll get to that in the next episode. But Josh,
Look that up. Get our
there's
research team
on
on it.
here. Let's talk.
So, all right, let's dive in. Well, thanks again, JT, for getting us going. And it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for making the time. First things first. If I know that you're an avid listener to the podcast, so you know what's coming. First and foremost, we like to ask our guests, kind of like cocktail hour sort of thing. It's happy hour. Just give us a little introduction. Oh, there it is. Yeah, some happy hour action going on right now.
And
Give us a
Gillespie.
little introduction on who you are, what you're all about, and a little bit of your passion.
So, hey guys, I'm Ann. I knew that question actually was going to be coming. Um, and it's one of those questions that the interview, like, well, what am I about? I have no clue.
Good.
I've been trying to figure that out for years. But
Fit in
currently,
nicely.
Um, I am all about the COVID life right now.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm getting a little shaky talking about it just because that's what I've been living the past 2 months of my life. But prior to all of that, I've been an avid runner. I actually jumped into the running scene about 2.5, 3 years ago, kind of by accident. Um, my sister started running, and I was like, I kind of think I want to start doing that too. So my first race was actually, gosh, what race was it? It was with Kaiser, and it was one of the ones that they did with the San Jose Sharks. So my first
oh yeah,
medal was actually a puck, and I was like, oh, this is kind of badass. I kind of like it,
that's
and
cool.
one of those things is like, I kind of want to keep on doing this. And no sooner did I finish doing that race that she was like, hey, sign up to do this race with me. Mind you, I had only done a 5K.
Oh,
Never had
5K.
I run another mile in my life. And um, she so I signed up to do a Star Wars challenge with her, and that was 6 months later. So I needed to kind of train to do a 10K and a half marathon, which was 6 months later. So it's like I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, but the feeling of crossing the finish line was like, okay, I like this. And plus it was great for like losing weight and all of this. It was helping with my mental sanity, if that makes any sense, with
It
what I
makes
do for
all the sense.
my
Yeah.
job. So what else I do when I'm not doing the running thing, traveling for races, love to hike, love to camp. I'm one of those outdoorsy people. I would rather stay in a tent than a hotel any day.
Mm,
Um, I love to spend time with my family. This has been one of the hardest things with this pandemic is like not being able to reach out and hang out with them. My niece's birthday was at the end of March, as well as my mother's. And I had plans on driving down to surprise them. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, no travel. It's like, well, guess I'm not going to surprise them. And it broke my mother's heart to not be able to go down
mm.
and do any of that. But like, in a nutshell, like I'm one of those caring people. Like I will give of myself until there's nothing else left to give.
Hmm.
So,
I can
and
see
well,
that.
thanks. No, this is great. No, thank you very much for sharing all that. I know sometimes it's hard to kind of come on and talk a little bit about what you're passionate about and what things excite you. And I think the one thing that I mean we have to talk about at some point, we'll get into this a little bit more, is what you do on the day to day. And why JT and I both wanted to have you on the show.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit of like your day to day, just very briefly, and then we'll talk about how that plays into your running life as well.
Yeah, so I think it's going to vary hospital to hospital. So I am, and it hits me every time I say it, and I get chills also because there's so many different healthcare professionals. But I am working frontline in the emergency room at a veterans facility.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so being an emergency room nurse, our daily routines have already been just disrupted a little bit. Like we are trained for disasters, mass casualties, which like those are usually contained, like earthquakes, tornadoes, other
Right.
natural disasters, things that have borders and regions. But like this is global. Obviously
Hmm.
impacting things that we do in our daily lives, but like we had no warning for this. There wasn't a game plan. Um, so like what I have to do when I go into a facility, like my own, like I am met by somebody asking me, do you have a cough? Do you have a cold? Do you have fever, chills, anything like that? And they give me a wristband. Like I look like I've been to a rave like every single day I come home from work. Um, And then, when you enter a facility, no matter which facility, you have to have a mask on. You have to gel your hands. And then it's just, we start going about our day to day. But as far as it is right now, just like every aspect of how any emergency room is set up has just been so disrupted because you're trying to keep people that don't need to be there out. And I think
Mm.
that kind of goes with like every emergency room. Like I had to go to a couple of other facilities for random things, and just how you have to enter is just completely different. You can't have any visitors, no matter where you are or who you are. Some circumstances varying, like if you have dementia, you can have a visitor. If you're unable to take care of yourself, you can have a visitor. But if you're just there as like moral support, you can't have a visitor. And that
Wow.
kind of takes a toll on people. It's like your support system has suddenly been stripped away from you. It's like, well, now what? Like the people that we've been depending on, you can't depend on.
Yeah,
Wow. And do you,
yeah, and
I mean,
that's
yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, Josh, is the toll it must put on you. And I'm
Yeah,
going to say this in a macro sense, but do you feel yourself being forced to then become the support systems of these, you know what I mean? These of these patients that normally have someone by their side, a husband, a wife, a son, a daughter, something, and now you're you're forced to do two jobs, take care of them and take care of them.
absolutely. Because no matter which unit you're on, emergency room, intensive care unit, just a regular medical surgical unit, you're suddenly that person's support. Like because especially like if you are COVID positive, you can't
Right.
have any visitors. Well, you can't have any visitors no matter what. But because of the contact precautions, and if you guys give me a phone number, I can send you what I look like in my full PPE outfits.
I definitely need that anyways for
Yeah.
the cover of the
Here's the
channel.
running and here's the after. Like with the
Yeah, I want
pictures
it
I've
side by
been posting. Yeah, the pictures of like what I've been posting on Instagram. It's like they almost look like two different profiles because like here's the nurse Anne and like here's the running Anne. It's like, are they even the same person? But
side.
they are. They're definitely me, and it's like living almost two different lives. But if I didn't have the running to help balance everything else out, and then sure we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But again, back to the support system, it's like I don't want to talk about specific situations just because of the nursing aspect, but like we do have to step in. And like I can talk about this one, but like I had a guide call in to ask a nursing question, but we can't give advice over the phone. We do have, at
Hmm.
least at the VA, a telephone advice nurse, but the guy, it sounded like he just did not have somebody to talk to for
Hmm.
however how long has this been? What year are we? What month? I don't even know. This is Corona
Forever.
Day 89. Yeah. Um, so I had an 8 minute just let this guy talk on the phone.
Yeah.
There are things that I had to go and do as the charge nurse. It was just
Right.
like, okay, dude, just let it all out. You clearly have not had like human contact for a while, so I will just be that random person that you just need to talk to right now.
Hmm.
and
That's wild.
that's, I mean, that's such a difficult situation. And I think that I'm going to speak on behalf of JT as well, is just saying thank you for all the work, the energy, and the empathy that you put in to your to your day, as that's certainly something that's, I'm sure, extraordinarily draining for you personally when you're
Yeah.
spending so much of that time just empathizing with others and really kind of like that visceral reaction of seeing it in front of you.
Hmm.
And we talk a lot about how running means so much to us, and how it kind of like resets an opportunity to, kind of disengage from that type of empathy where you're so connected to someone else in another situation, and re-engage with who we are.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit about, how do you make that transition? Because I think we can all learn a lot from what you're doing, from
Right.
taking care of others and taking care of work, and then transitioning to something where we find a bit of passion and joy from with running. How does that process go for you? Is it just slipping on the shoes? Is it slapping on a Run Local singlet? I mean, both of those help, but I'd
Not
love
that
to
you're
know a
wearing
bit
one
more.
right now.
It does definitely help. So funny thing about the Run Local zip up that I am wearing is I do wear it to work. I do wash it a lot. But it's not that I'm not, not broadcasting my ambassadorship everywhere. But like I have running shoes that I wear to work, so like I'm always ready to be on the run, just in case. But I wear some sort of running piece while I'm at work, which seems
Right.
really weird. Like I'm always connected to something. Like the the uh the shirts that I have, like the one that's hanging up in the background right there, the Shamrock one. They
Yep.
yeah, that one. They make great, it just because I want to say like I sweat a lot, but like when you're wearing the full PPE, you get sweaty. Those rooms are hot. You are doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You are trapped with like limited air movement, even though some of the rooms are air negative. But they're warm. You're in panic mode. You're in like, okay, now what? What is going on with this patient? Okay, now what's going on with that patient? Who do I need to help next? There's so many different things going through my mind as far as what do I need to do next. So I'm always like in the back of my mind, kind of prepared as far as like, I don't know. I'm prepared for something. But like the shirts,
Yeah.
super helpful because they're moisture wicking. So they've been helpful as far as
That is amazing. Yeah, but you're giving me an idea. I just wrote down give tech fabric shirts
there
to
you go.
like frontline workers.
Or something that has like a
I
little
have
orange,
extras.
whatever. So,
Yeah, I have
as
good
far
news
as
flyers, all these people, and I could just fill your hospital and your friends and your nurses and doctors under PPE with Run Local
there you
gear.
go, that genius idea.
Well,
And so as far as like my days off are my reprieve of I don't have to think about what is going on in the hospital right now unless they call me and say, hey, can you come in and work? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, because it's overtime and I, when this thing is all over, might take a trip, I don't know, just to Santa Cruz or something because I
anywhere.
still don't want to go anywhere. Um, but like it just even running like around the local streets, just even a 5K, I might not be fast, I really don't care, is getting me moving. And like running is either when I don't think or when I do my best thinking. Some, kind of like how people do their best thinking in the shower or in the car or when they're sitting on the toilet. Running is when I do like my best or no thinking, and it's my chance to like clear my mind.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think that's something a lot of folks can relate to. I mean, JT, I know that you and I have mused about a few things on runs together. We don't get to do that nearly as much considering the current state of
All right now.
things.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm sure that resonates with you as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's resonating with society right now. We're seeing a trend, and
Oh
this
yeah.
it's helping our frontline workers maybe the most to get out and clear their heads and rinse themselves from a day. But it's helping moms and dads that are new homeschool teachers to get out and just go run. They don't have access to a gym. It's helping people such as myself that are trying to keep the small business afloat during a time when we don't have revenue coming in that we're typically dependent on. So there's an added level of stress, and my mileage went this way, like way up,
Yeah.
because I'm running from something, and and it might
Suddenly
be.
people that have never run are suddenly runners. It's like, I've been doing this for a couple years. I can give you some advice.
Exactly,
But,
and that's
but
good.
I also think too, like, you mentioned you're running from something, but I think you're also, I mean, there's also a destination involved too, where, you're trying to get away from that current situation, but you're also trying to run towards something that's a little bit better than where you started. And that's the same thing all the time when you're out there, trying to, whether you're competing or completing a race, but you start somewhere, with a finish line in mind. And I think, and one of the things that's a challenge for all of us too is like we don't know when that finish line is. So any thoughts on just how you stay present in the moment, and especially those times where you're really thankful for the opportunity to get outside, and how do you absorb more of that energy of gratefulness?
Well, so every day that I do get to show up for work, I am grateful. Like it could be an entirely different situation like they are in New York. So I
Yeah,
am grateful that I do still have a job, that I am able to do what I get to do. So I take that same energy and I do get to channel it into my running so that I get to
yeah,
take that drive and be like, okay, well, you know what are my goals today with my running? Am I going for distance? Am I going for speed? Sounds like some song lyrics somewhere. Sorry, thought I'd throw that in there.
Got it. Loved it.
And so I think like when this is all said and done, I mean, it's not going to all be said and done. There's still going to be, in the back of my mind, there's probably going to be a second wave. There's going to be something else that's going to be hitting eventually, just because it's science, maybe. I don't know. I can't speak
Yeah.
entirely on that. I just have to show up and be like, okay, well, what is it going to be today? Because we don't know. We didn't even know this was happening a couple of months ago. We just show up and be like, okay, here's what we're going to do today, and kind of have to go from there. Same thing with running. It's like is it going to be raining? Is it going to be hot as it is today right now? Who knows? Like you just kind of have to adjust
yeah,
for whatever it's going to throw at you.
That's
yeah.
really interesting. So I'm hearing you say two things, and I feel like this could be applied to anybody that's listening right now, which is one, just appreciation, right? For like the opportunity for you to be able to have a job and go into work and it not being the worst situation ever. Like you're in a tough situation, but maybe not the worst. And then the other really cool thing I'm hearing you say is like the being of here and now. Like Josh is challenging us that yes, there's no real finish line in front of this thing. This is a really long run that we're going to be in. So why
Mhm.
not enjoy the mile that we're in, or at least be in it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
It doesn't even have to be a mile. It can be a half a mile because like some things you kind of have to do increments at a time because there's some people that can't even, like how many people that are not working right now that are sitting on their butts. There's the couch to 5K. You know what? Get up, walk around the block. Yeah, you have to wear a mask, but you know what? Get out, go walk, do something. Some people do need to start getting out and doing something for their health. I mean, I'm not telling them to get off their butts, but get off your butt, go do something. You know,
I'm telling you, get off your butt. Get off your butt.
do it.
that's professional advice too.
Yeah.
That's a trained medical professional. Yeah. Josh,
Good.
I mean, Josh has a partner in his household that works in the medical profession. I'm sure there's some added stress. Are you seeing similar themes come home in that world? It's not the
I
same.
mean, I think that I can't presume to know everything that everybody's going through, to be honest. But and I think one of the things that's really difficult is to try and equate anything that anyone's going through with any other experience, quite honestly. So I think that yeah, it's tough for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, all across the board. As Ann mentioned, like sometimes it's just that you're not working. That might be the difficult thing that's happening. Sometimes it might be the added stress of the work that you're doing. That might be the difficult thing that's out there. But the one thing that I think JT, you and I have been chatting about is really the unifying factor of optimism of what our connection through sport and through being active, and as you mentioned, getting off your butt, brings everybody together regardless of what position they started from. And that's always been something that's really cool. I mean, yesterday, to tell you one quick thing. Yesterday, this is crazy, but I talked to a neighbor for the first time because we finished a run on opposite sides of the street at roughly the same time, coming from different angles.
That's cool.
And we just like had this moment of like, hey, what's up? What's up? And you have a conversation around going like, oh, that was awesome to be out there. It was a great time at night, that sort of thing. And it was just like such a reminder of how important kind of these local events are. When you get to the starting line, everybody's starting at the same spot. When you get to the finish line, everybody completed the same distance. And so that piece and that layer of optimism is something that I find, super awesome,
Well,
quite honestly.
I think that brings up a whole new channel for this conversation, something I was hoping to talk about and I think about a lot, which is this weird reset that this is creating for some of us. And maybe not so much for you, Anne. I feel bad that it's not a reset, it's a fast forward button or something like that that's just turned your life like this in a snow globe. But maybe you're feeling some of it in other areas of your life. So I'm much closer with my neighbors right now. I'm much closer to any community member that I see out on a run, on a walk, on anything. There's more head nods, more hellos, more how are you doing, even for people you don't know. It's like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there's
Well,
this really
even like
great
even we would have never
aloha.
had this we would have never had this conversation with Anne to connect and say, have a chance to say thank you and really try to understand what
Right?
it is that you're doing.
And it's not like Anne's been sitting on her ass for the last 5 years. We just forgot to
Yeah.
thank her. Working in the emergency room, we forgot about the people that
Right,
are
right.
actually.
You like all of a sudden, like people are starting to thank nurses, but it's like this is just kind of what I've been doing every day for the last,
Yeah.
however many years I've been a nurse. I was like, this is my job. I mean, I'm just doing it a little differently now, but I mean, it's like I don't want to like I'm still like I'm humbled like by a lot of the things that people are doing, and like when I see the things that people are broadcasting on TV, like a lot of it actually brings tears to my eyes because like I'm truly in like a blessed situation that it's not, knock on wood,
Yeah.
worse. Yeah, the Bay Area, we have how many cases, but like we're not in a New York situation, and I hope, pray that it does not get to be in that situation. But again, it's a reminder people need to wash their hands. People need to wear a mask when they're out and just be respectful of the people that are around them. I mean, like I did just go for, a 2 mile whatever because I'm like, I need to get outside and do something. Um, and like the people that I saw, like they didn't even have a face covering. I at least pulled my buff over my face while I was out. It's like
Right.
things haven't changed, and when they do change, people will know. It's like we still just need to be
Yeah.
respectful of everybody else that's out there. Like it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's
I have noticed on some of the runs that I've been on, and maybe both of you have noticed this too, is like there's always this dance when you come across, it's an empty street, right? It's a big wide street. There's this dance of like, okay, we're all coming up. There's kids on bikes. There's like somebody walking their dog, and everybody's trying to spread equidistant across the road, and not kind of be assholes about it. It's just sort of like,
yeah.
hey, how's it going?
It's like a
That
gang of
sort of
Frogger.
thing. It
Like
is.
Yeah.
come
It's like
stop.
this
You
odd,
want?
like,
No, I'll go. You go. You go. I'll go.
yeah, exactly. There's one dude I've seen probably like the last 3 runs I've been on, same guy, and he's not moving very fast, but he's clearly into it. And the cool thing about it is like seeing all these folks out and about is they give you like the hey, what's up, man? Great to see you out here. Like you've been meeting up with them for years. And so
Yeah.
this guy I've seen now kind of in the neighborhood, and he's clearly like just out there getting it done. But he's the most enthusiastic guy that's in the area, and I just love seeing him. He's just like, yeah, all right, nice job, buddy. Yeah, most of the time I think he's pointing at me. Pretty brave me wearing those short shorts, but hey, all right.
I've been
And it's
thinking
that
about
kind of
that
time.
your short choice for years though, Josh. I mean,
That's true.
I was kind of hoping COVID would fix that reset of your short length.
Yeah, but
Don't
that's the stuff that I don't want to lose. I want to that recognition of like, hey,
Yeah.
how you doing? You're out there. Like,
That's
I
what I
don't
was
know.
getting towards was that I really do appreciate some of these things. Yes, I want to get back to work. I want to get back to things, but I'm enjoying people like slowing it down a little bit more family time, a little bit more checking in on each other. Um, a little bit more time in my garden. We've moved to a 4-day work week now at Soul Focus and Run Local because we're like, we just need to take the edge off like a little bit. Like, why don't just spin your wheels for no reason? So I'm just curious, how do we remember that? We got to go back and listen to episode 7 now repeatedly in the future of the Run Local podcast to remember everyone, slow down.
I want to
You
share.
think of the roads too. Oh my gosh, on the roads. Like just because yeah, you can't go 90. Then you're gonna
Right.
end up in the emergency room anyway, and be like,
We're here regardless. Your choice.
yeah, yeah, COVID car crash. Who knows?
But open streets, they're thinking about restaurants now out in terms of putting them in plazas and doing more outdoor seating. Like that stuff sounds fantastic. Much more community oriented stuff that sounds safer for the
Yeah. Well,
transition back.
Seattle shutting down permanently like 20 miles of streets.
I read that.
Like, look, this seems like a better solution than what we had before.
We're enjoying this.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
And any other elements of the world you do love right now that has changed because of this? I mean, we're always looking for that silver lining.
Well, I did definitely enjoy my fast pass to Costco today.
Did they give that to frontline workers?
I show my badge that says RN on it, and my
Yeah.
Costco thing, and I get to go right to the front of the line, which was super nice. I was like, what do
Well
y'all
deserved.
people do now? Go home. So I got a lifetime supply of toilet paper. No, okay, not a lifetime supply, but I'm definitely stocked up on toilet paper. But since I'm never home, I'm always at work. So if anybody needs toilet paper, I have some. But no, so one of the things that with this pandemic is that it really has made at least I guess I'm speaking for myself, but I'm going to generalize and say it's made a lot of us kind of reflect and be like, what are our priorities right now? Like, do I really need to go to the emergency room for the abdominal pain that I've had for 3 weeks? Probably not. Like, what are we really going out for? Like, if we can actually work from home, if I don't need to go run those errands that I've been putting off forever, do I really need to be going outside? Do I need to be doing these things? It's just kind of like rethinking, like, what's the purpose today? And just kind of rethinking, like, all of the things that we do in our daily lives.
I hear you. There's been, on that same note, I'm sure like many others, I've been struggling with honestly, like my dependency on pants. And I've kind of let that go. And so I'm saying like, I don't know that I need it. It's a waist up shot from here on out, So that's something that I'm not sure I'm ready to go back to. There you go. There you go. In the action.
I am shoeless almost all day long.
I have shorts on. I just went for a run.
Running shoes, cutting it down after that. That's about the only time you get on these feet. They're pretty disgusting. They're a bit trolly at this point, but you're right. I wear pants though, Josh. So grow up.
No, but like I'm definitely looking forward to like when I know there's going to be some major adjustments to how races and runs are done in the future, because you can't have a whole bunch of people like corralling in any kind of corral. Like, and I know it's going to take a lot of mastermind to like figure out like, well, how is this going to work? But, like, it'll work. We will run together at some point. And like,
and I'm going to need you with the temperature gauge, right? The temperature thing, right? As they walk into the corrals, you and all your friends, and then you get to run for free. So I
think I did that already. There's actually technology for that already. I can tell you about that later, some other day. But I know it's going to happen, but I don't know when.
It's almost going to be like those metal detectors, right? Where you go in through a stadium and you're just like
the airports. They have them at airports. So, but people be hot from pre-warm up and all that, so it's not going to be as.
That's weird. Good point. Think about.
I'm sure that when we come back, because humans are a resilient bunch, and when we come back to whatever the new state of things are, it's going to be a huge celebration. I think folks are going to be so excited to just say, like, look, let's let's really appreciate what we got going on here and get out and celebrate it and enjoy it, and be a bit kinder. Yeah,
A hug.
you know,
Oh, can't wait
it's
for
gonna
hugs.
it's gonna be good. Throw some high fives, maybe some elbow bumps, whatever the new en
Might
vogue
start,
thing
it
is.
might transition. Elbow bump to hug to
Yeah.
high five. I feel like hugs are
Yeah,
safer than high fives.
are you
Yeah.
gonna go air kiss?
What about the bow? What about if we go to Japanese bow?
Maybe like a little namaste.
Namaste.
Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just looking at each other's eyes. I think we've got some great ideas here. I would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about how we got to know Anne, which was through our Run Local ambassador team. So we have this fantastic team of 50 Run Local ambassadors, the people that like talk about our races, do our races, bring the most energy possible to Run Local events. You can become a Run Local ambassador by applying. It's usually in around October, November every year. You go through a strict, very tough application process, psych evaluation. There's a physical fitness test. It's basically the Navy SEALs, but for local runs. And we end up with 50 of them. And Anne has been one for 2 years, I believe, 18, 19, 23 years. One first year, exactly. It feels like it's
Right.
been so long. Such a fantastic job. And so we got to know Anne as a Run Local ambassador. I'd love to know about what your experience has been so far. Um, and I don't know what to tell people about the events and things you like about it, things you don't. I don't care.
Well, so since this is my first season actually with Run Local, it's been great so far. I was able to volunteer with the Shamrock. No, did we
Yep.
do that one? No, we didn't do that
We did
one.
408K.
We
Kansas
did
City
the 4.
408K.
That
Yep.
was the one that we actually were able to do live. And because I did the Shamrock one virtual. So when we were able to do the 408K, I loved it except for the fact that I couldn't breathe, but that's a different issue. Um, yeah, asthma. Um,
Yeah.
so, but the community involvement and being able to connect with some of the other ambassadors and just the other people that were there and the dog parade, like it was so fun. And like just being able to be present and again like connect with other people and just support the brand and be like come run this race with me and just like get a whole bunch of my other friends to sign up and do the race with me who would like otherwise be like, run? No, no, thank you. And they did. Like, I had a friend that flew out from Hawaii to come do
Wow.
the race.
That's
Wow.
your
So,
legend.
I'm
Wow.
not going to say I'm powerful by any means, but if I can have a friend fly from Hawaii to come do a race here, like that's kind of cool. And then several of my coworkers do it. Some of the police officers, I've even gotten them involved with some of the races, which is kind of cool in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
cool.
like, it's awesome to just get some community involvement and some not so community involvement.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, you're preaching to the choir, but if you were there that day at Lululemon when we did the ambassador gift exchange, when we were handing out different
I was
kits.
actually at Disney that day. I
Okay,
was doing the Disney
perfect.
challenge.
But it's almost like you were there because what I told all the ambassadors that day was that they are extensions of our brand. And essentially then you become an extension of me because I am wrapped up so tightly in Run Local and like it's very much my personality, which is our mission is to motivate people to move like in
Yeah.
any way possible, like to get movement out there because we believe that by moving every day or moving as much as you can, you're going to increase your happiness. And if we can increase happiness, then we've made some change in this world, some small ability. So what I love so much about our Run Local ambassadors is it's given me like 50, family members, team members, community members that are now spreading that message out there. It's just given me like so much. It gives me joy, Josh.
Yeah.
It gives me joy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. It's fun to be out there and to see them. And I'm at the start and the end, and I don't think I haven't had a chance to actually do the races. So it's like I kind of have to live through the ambassadors and through the runners themselves. So it's super cool. So Anne, thanks a ton for all your work that you're doing with Run Local. But that's obviously secondary to all the wonderful work that you're doing. Honestly, on a day-to-day, and I know that JT and I can thank you over and over again, and that still won't be enough But we really do appreciate everything that you've done and continued to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you got me a little bit, Josh. I started thinking about it a little bit. But I think that's a great place to end it. And is there anything else you want everyone to know about you, about other nurses, what you got coming up?
Yes and no. I just want to say that I'm very appreciative that you guys did choose me to represent such a great brand. I um it's hard to put like things into words because like my friend base is now like mostly Run Local ambassadors, and like I wouldn't have the running friends and community and whatnot like if it wasn't for finding the races that I started running a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great way to build like upon like just the friendships and like
Mhm.
just all of that, and then to be able to use the running as an outlet. And even though the races are kind of whatever right now, just to be able to still run and have that encouragement and use whatever social media platforms as encouragement still, I think has been super helpful. And for everybody that's still like, what the heck is going on with this COVID pandemic? I think we just need to wait it out because that's the only thing we can do, and just stay home, wash your hands, go for a jog every now and then.
Love that.
Kind of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. I appreciate you. Josh, thanks for being on here. Cheers to both of you. It is Aloha like Friday, at least when we're recording this thing. Whenever you're listening to it, make it Aloha Friday, wherever you are, when you are, which means
Yeah.
appreciate where you are in the world. If you need some motivation in the world, we just, unfortunately, but also fortunately, transitioned our Across the Bay 12K and 415K into a virtual event. This is typically the event that goes from Marin across the Golden Gate Bridge and finishes in the beautiful Fisherman's Wharf. You can do that virtually by going to race415.com. Registration is still open. You get a really cool shirt from San Francisco. We're going to do big old medals this year. We're going to create this really cool virtual experience with a podcast from Josh and I that you can listen to, where it's almost going to be like a race day experience. Josh, you're hearing about that now for the first time, but don't worry, you're on the hook for it. But if you want to take part in that and support a great charity in the Edgewood Center for Children and Families, race415.com. We're going to do a virtual 12K, very San Francisco themed. I know Ann will be there. Josh will be on the podcast that you're listening to during it. Sports Basement will probably be giving you a great goodie bag if stores are open by that time. We're talking about mid-July. And you guys, I think that wraps us up. Episode 7 of the Run Local podcast.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Great job. No offense, Meb, but this one was bang on. So
yeah, I would agree. You might have topped Meb.
You might have topped Meb. Might have topped Meb.
I love it.
Well, thanks
Thank you
again.
both.
Until next time. This has been great.
Yep.
Run local.
Right.
Bay Area.
Awesome, guys.
Comment, subscribe to the podcast, hit that little button on the Apple Tunes thing, do the Spotify preferred ones, and you have a great day. Stay safe, please. We need you.
You guys too.
All right. Adios.
Bye.